So now and again, it's not hard when you actually start doing the research to understand about the pineal gland and understand about melanin when you really start digging into it. And again, it's a lot of people out there beginning to start talking about melanin because they start to understand they have been lied to, and it's a lot more to melanin than people understand. So again, I know a lot of people are in denial about this information. A lot of people just don't want to accept it. I got a lot of emails from people who just really couldn't grasp it and had a hard time. You know, I was called Afrocentric. A lot of people was really upset about the information, but it's going to be a lot more clear in this video. You got to understand that the information is out there. They would not be making chagas or pushing chagas. This Dr. Carl Marat would be pushing it if this wasn't true. You wouldn't have melatonin pills if this wasn't true. It's true. It's information that's out there that you can figure out for yourself. So people are not just out there being Afrocentric, which I hate that word, and they're not out there trying to bash white people and make you look bad. It's a simple fact that your own white scientists are speaking about, and more researchers are doing research on, because there are a lot of benefits that melanin has. There's so many diseases and illnesses that white people just wouldn't get if they was black. It's just that simple. So melanin is important, and it's important for people to start knowing about it and its effects and understanding, more importantly, the African people have an abundance of it, and that we are the original man, and that you basically need us to figure out the problems with yourselves. And this is one of the things they don't want to do, because then you have to look at us in a different light. But back to the Bible, the whole body is, the eye is single, the whole body be full of light. The light of the body is the eye. What is it talking about? It's talking about the pineal gland, of course. Now, the pineal gland emits light. How many people knew that? The pineal gland actually emits light. So now, in talking about the pineal gland, I'm going to read here. It says, it is already known to release various chemicals into our body, including a derivative of the feel-good chemical serotonin called melatonin. This hormone affects the modulation of our waking and sleeping patterns, but also affects our sex drive according to the diseases. Viagra. Excuse me. Though scientists still admit that they still don't yet have a complete picture of the pineal gland's function. Of course they do. Bullshit. It is located in the hidden center of the brain. It is pine cone shaped and no bigger than a raisin. Incredibly, it is actually bioluminescent, so glows within the darkness of the brain as if lit by a tiny light bulb, and it has also been found to be sensitive to light. Interestingly enough, the anatomy of the gland actually consists of a lens, a cornea, and a retina, just like our eyeballs. Also, according to scientist Dr. Graham Blackwell, a large number of small crystals have been found in the gland called calcite microcrystals. They bear a striking resemblance to the calcite crystals in the inner ear that have been shown to exhibit the qualities of an electric field known as piezoelectricity. If the pineal gland crystals exhibit the same qualities, then this would prove a means whereby an external electromagnetic field might directly influence the brain. And of course it does. So again, it's talking about, you have melanin. It's talking about the pineal gland. And as I said, melanin being the driver of the vehicle, this energy to affect the pineal gland. So of course, this energy can basically program the brain. We know it sends signals down the spine, and this is how we move or what have you. So this is stuff they already know. They have done the research, trust me, on the pineal gland. They understand the importance of it. They understand what it can do. They understand how melanin is essential to the pineal gland. So when you're giving up all this information and you're saying all these things, then you say, but, Europeans have a 60 to 80% calcified pineal gland. There's an issue. There's a problem. And a lot of people are not looking at that. And they're not saying straight out, African people, black people, well, they don't have this problem. They are genetically superior. Their babies develop faster. They are smarter. They are genetically stronger. Everything about them resembles the universe. And of course, this is not going to be said, but this is what people have to understand. This is what you have to know. And again, this is not information that was put out there for you to basically just get. And the reason why it's being put to you the way that it is secretly is because they don't want you to understand exactly what I was just saying. So now it's easy to see, the pineal gland having these crystals, inside of it. So when you understand the implications of how crystals affect light, how it can store light, this is huge when you think about the fact that we have this in the pineal gland, and he's telling you about the energy and light that our body produces and everything. So you can understand how these things can go hand in hand. So melanin is a huge part of all of this because, again, it is the driver that's going to get this energy and light to the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is going to get it to the subconscious to get you to start, activating it, to get you to start, bringing it together with your consciousness. So, it's a huge thing when you see that. Again, they're talking about in the article about, bioluminescence, the pineal gland actually lighting up. So this is one of the reasons why when they show the pictures of Jesus and, Krishna, what have you, they have that light, the sun behind their head. The pineal gland is the sun. This is one of the reasons why it has that. So you can see everything fits. I mean, it's just, there's no way. You got to get this. This is not bullshit. Everything fits. It all works. It's going to fit a lot more as we keep going. So this is what this is all about. But let's go back to the Garden of Eden. So then I love going to the Garden of Eden and getting into this stuff. So now, God basically didn't want us to get the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. If we did so, we'd become gods. So God didn't want that to happen. So now understand the tree of life, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, is basically your spinal column and your brain. It's just that simple. When you look at pictures, they look just like trees. So the tree of life, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, what have you, it's just your spinal column in your brain. So you have the tree of life, basically where your pine cone shaped pineal gland sits on. You have the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, where you have the reptilian lower brain, which is why the serpent is on a tree in the story, because it symbolized the reptilian lower brain sitting on the tree of your brain, which, looks like a tree. So this is what this stuff is all, getting into. So now your brain, or your pineal gland, I should say, sits in the middle of your brain, basically protected by the two cerebral hemispheres, which the Bible gives us the two cherubims that's basically protecting the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So you have the two cerebral hemispheres and the two cherubims. Same thing. So it's giving you the brain right there. You have the brain that's like a tree. You have the cherubims protecting it. And you have the tree of life. You have the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So metaphorically, if you really want to get into the Garden of Eden, it's breaking down the brain. As I said, we fell because of the lower brain. So you have the lower brain sitting on the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That lower reptilian brain would be the evil. Or, bird brain, limbic system, prefrontal cortex, or what have you, would be the good. So you have good and evil basically on the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You have basically the pineal gland being on the tree of life. And this is what God is protecting us from. So it's easy to see when you start breaking down the story metaphorically. What it's talking about is talking about the brain. So, when you start digging into Jesus and everything about Jesus, when you start digging into the people that surround him and things that surround him, you're going to find that it shows up a lot in math, physics, astrology, and of course Freemasonry, which Jesus is just surrounded with it. He's a Mason, he's a Mason, just that clear and simple when you start really getting into that information. So, it's really, really clear to see. Now, Jesus was crucified in Golgotha, which is the place of the skull. So we know Jesus is the sun is the pineal gland. The place of the skull is where the pineal gland sits. All of it goes back to the pineal gland, goes back to melanin. It's all fitting there, plain and simple. Now you have Jacob's ladder. What is Jacob's ladder? It's the same as the stairway to heaven. It's your spinal column leading to the pineal gland, to the brain. So you have Jacob's ladder. You have Genesis 32:30. Jacob called the name of the place Pineal, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Everything. It all fits. It's all going to lead you here. There's no way around it. There's no escaping it. What do you think all this stuff is for? And it's tough for people to get this kind of information, and it's a part of you that want to run from it. But then it's a part of you that is intrigued by it and wants to continue on. And you got to understand they put so much out here in the world to try to make you comfortable with your normal life, with your normal self. I don't want no troubles. I don't want no problem. I want to keep my head down. I want to just go about my life. I don't want to deal with this shit. And a lot of people feel that way. And a lot of people, some people get depressed, you know, watching my videos. And some people get, you know, I had a lot of people, man, your videos is depressing. They make me sad. They make me have no hope. And how could you not have hope, man? How could you not get this? I know it's all scary, it's all weird information, but you got to get this stuff and understand that this is amazing, that you have the knowledge, that you're understanding this, that you're going to have the tools necessary to do and fulfill your purpose. This material stuff is shit. It's nothing. I mean, come on. You can't keep it forever. You are going to die. It is inevitable. Plain and simple. So you got to grasp that and understand it and grow up. And not try to hold on to this physical material stuff. And understand that this stuff is just here for you to basically fulfill your purpose. It's just that simple. So everywhere you look, you know, you're going to keep finding this stuff. You're going to start finding out that it all leads to the Bible. It all leads to Kemet. It all leads to you, black people. So this is basically going to bring me to, you know, my final part of the DVD, which is going to be long, but it's going to be cool. It's going to be worth it. And this is where I really can prove my point, or one of the best things I can use to prove my point, because it's so many places that you don't understand that's telling you exactly what I'm saying. So as I said in the beginning of the DVD, beginning of the video, you know, we're going to use the Matrix to basically prove this point. You're going to understand what it's really, truly talking about. It's so many people who put out videos on the Matrix. I know you've seen a lot. I talk about the Matrix a lot, but they don't have the clear understanding of what it's talking about. I think after you see what I'm going to show you, you'll understand that it's the truth, that it's clear. And it's a lot that it entails, but everything will piece together and it'll fit and you'll get it. You'll start understanding that, damn, you know, it's the truth. This is what it's talking about. So, you know, this is going to be one of those things where, you know, you're going to have to probably watch twice after we go through all of it and really get it. But you should be able to get it the first time. But it's a lot of information, but it's going to be cool. It's going to be really insightful, and it's really going to make a lot of sense. So now, as I said in the beginning, you know, you guys have been spoiled. You're a Superman, you're a Batman, you're the X-Men. You're so many superheroes. There's so many things that you have that portray you in this positive, unbelievable light as being the superior being over everybody else. And the fact that Europeans are in power is another thing that just gives you this validity, you know, and a lot of people are arrogant of that, and this ego that's going to keep people from really grasping this kind of information. And the only way you can really convey it to them is to do things like this and put it into things that can be proven and seen and stuff that they know about. So The Matrix is just one of those movies where everybody knows it's talking about hidden stuff. You have to understand that esoterically in the occult, this is the sum of all that information. It's giving you that. This is what it's telling you. When you put it together, when you start getting into the information, the main thing, one of the biggest, deepest secrets that is hidden, that is almost impossible to figure out. I'm not going to say I'm just super genius or what have you. It's right there in front of your face to tell you the truth. It's playing on your prejudice. It's playing on your, let's say your programming, the way you have been programmed. It's playing on you being spoiled and everything. It's playing on that so you don't come to this conclusion, as I talked about in part 2. But it's playing on all that. All the metaphysics of the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, as I proved and showed you, and that's game the Bible and Christianity finally explained, equates to the womb of the black woman. So when you start putting everything together, it's telling you this is what it's talking about. Let's get into this thing. First off, we go to Matrix Revolutions, the last Matrix. Remember, Neo wakes up at the train station. And he wakes up and he goes over, he sees the little girl first, and he sees the man. He tells her, hey, leave that poor man alone. And he sees his wife. This is the biggest clue of the Matrix. This scene in the Matrix gives away the whole entire series. Plain and simple. He gives it all away right here. And of course, they would save it for the last movie. But this scene is where everything is, as I'm about to break down. So he goes over, and the man explains who he is. And when I first heard it, it just blew me away when he talked. Comes right up to Neo. Hi, I'm Ramachandra. This is my wife, Kamala. Our daughter, Seti. These are all Hindu gods. It's just that simple. So to me, I'm just blown away. Like, did he really just give it away like that? He kind of hit something, which you'll get into later. But just like that. So when you understand these Hindu gods, you can start really from the last Matrix Revolutions, from the third movie, you can start breaking down everything else. Everything starts to unravel when you start to understand what he's representing. Now remember, he comes over, he says, I'm Ramachandra, and we know Rama, which would be short for Ramachandra, he is dealing with reincarnation. Rama is more well known for incarnating as Krishna. He is the 7th incarnation of Vishnu. And everything about Rama deals with reincarnation. So that's one of the first things that blow you away. When you start looking into Ramachandra, into Rama, and understanding, he's the 7th avatar of Vishnu. He incarnated as Gautama Buddha, as Krishna. So it starts to get you, digging into things. So what was his job? What was the job of Ramachandra in the Matrix? He was the power plant systems manager for recycling. Think about that. So you have Ramachandra dealing with reincarnation into, different gods. You have this Ramachandra basically dealing with the same thing, reincarnation. So let's go back to the Matrix 1. So the power plant systems manager for recycling. Go back to Matrix 1, Cypher. Remember, when Cypher was having a meeting with Agent Smith, remember what he said. Now, as I was saying, Cypher, when he's having the meeting with Agent Smith, when he's about to basically betray the rest of the guys, what does he say? He said, okay, I get my body back to the power plant. You reinsert me into the Matrix. So you understand that the power plant is where Neo woke up at, where all those bodies was. So you got to make sure you make that connection and understand when it's talking about reincarnation, when he's talking about the power plant system manager for recycling, he's talking about recycling the bodies and the souls of the people. So Ramachandra is all about reincarnation. This is dealing with reincarnation. This is the first biggest clue about everything. Everything else is just going to fall into place. Now, also remember Morpheus explaining that the dead is fed intravenously to the living. So you have the recycling of the bodies to the living and the recycling of the energy or the soul into the new fetuses, the new babies that they was growing in those fields. So again, Ramachandra representing the reincarnation. You see it, it's clear. So now when we go and look at Rama, it's saying here, Rama is a Vedic Sanskrit word with two contextual meanings. In one context, as found in Atharva Veda, and Veda basically means knowledge. Atharva Veda basically means the process of everyday life. Atharva Veda states, Monier Williams, who was professor, it means dark colored black. So it's basically saying Rama. And Monier Williams, who was an expert in Sanskrit and expert in Hindu studies, he's saying that Rama means dark colored black, and is related to the term Ratri, which means night. In another context, as found in another Vedic text, the word means pleasing, delightful, charming, beautiful, lovely. So we have Ramachandra dealing with reincarnation. Take the hint. Ramachandra, reincarnation. When we look at Rama, it's dealing with black, it's dealing with dark or dark skin. Take the hint. So we go to Kamala, which Kamala is short for the Hindu god Kamala Mika. I ain't going to be saying that whole name the whole time. I'll probably say Kamala because it's Kamala for short. Now, Kamala is the Hindu god of creation and consciousness. Whenever you see her, she's always depicted with water and with a lotus. You know, a lotus is called a water lily. So you have Kamala, you have the lotus, you have Osiris, you have the lotus, you have a bunch of other Egyptian gods in the lotus. The lotus is a symbol for rebirth, plain and simple. So Kamala is dealing with rebirth, just like you have Ramachandra dealing with reincarnation, rebirth, reincarnation, same thing. It's giving you a hint here. It's telling you something. So when you understand the lotus, let's look up what the lotus symbol really means. It says here, the lotus symbol, the water lily. Discover the history and religious beliefs surrounding the lotus symbol, which was one of the most important religious Egyptian symbols in the mythology of ancient Egypt. The lotus is used as a symbol in ancient Egypt art, representing the sun of creation, rebirth, and was a symbol of Upper Egypt. As a symbol of the sun, it is closely associated with Atum Ra, the sun god, and later Nefertum, lotus god of perfume. Lotus flowers, also called water lilies, open in the morning and close again at night, symbolizing rebirth and regeneration. The lotus flower water lily was also used to symbolize the deceased upon entering the underworld and the process of rebirth, regeneration, and reincarnation. So now Kamala, what was her job? Her job was interactive systems manager, which basically is like the consciousness or the energy, the consciousness of the computer, you might as well say. So you have her job, her itself, the Hindu definition of Kamala, the Hindu god dealing with reincarnation, just like you have Ramachandra. I'm going to save Sati, the little girl, for later, for last, because there's a lot of stuff we got to get into in between to understand her. Because remember, as we don't see Ramachandra and Kamala, we know in Revolutions at the end, we see a couple more parts that you have Sati. It's a reason for that. So we'll explain her later. Now, Neo himself is an incarnation. He is the sixth incarnation of the One. He reincarnated, 6 times, basically what it's telling you, as the architect points out to him. He's reincarnated. So it's symbolizing, it's telling you reincarnating over and over again. There you have that symbology as I explained to you. So Neo, of course, represents you, white people, among other things. So now, in order for Neo to walk the path of the One or to become the One, he needed the Oracle. So you have the Oracle. The Oracle sends him to, the architect. Everything that she was talking about in part 1 and then in part 2 and everything, Matrix Reloaded, was to get him to the source, which she said, you have to go to the source. That door of light, you've seen it in your dreams. What did you see when you walked through it? And he explained he's seen Trinity fall or what have you. So she leads him to the architect. Now, Seraph gives away who the Oracle and the architect is, which the Oracle is the black woman. Just that simple. She's black, but she represents the black woman, period. Now, Seraph gives away the architect as well as the Oracle as far as their relation and his relation. So you have the architect and the Oracle representing yin and yang. Now you have Seraph, who also represents yin yang, plain and simple. So Seraph gives it away because he's Asian. Remember, the key maker was Asian as well. The key maker was who Neo had to get to the architect. So both of those Asian guys gives away the yin and yang that is talking about with the architect and with the Oracle. Now remember, she said in Matrix Revolutions, the last Matrix, she was saying to Neo that his job is to balance the Matrix, and her job was to unbalance it. So you have the yin, which is negative female energy, and you have the yang, which is masculine male energy, and you have yin yang. This is what it's doing. His job is to balance. Her job is to unbalance. So it's giving you that. So when we're talking about yin yang, we know we're talking about Kundalini, which we'll get into. So we can see as you're going through these steps in the Matrix, it's breaking down. Everything that we've been talking about so far is giving you these things. And they wait to the end, but you can put some things together in the first and second matrix. And they're giving you the pieces to bring you to this overall conclusion. So we see the yin-yang symbol being black and white. We see yin representing the black woman. She's black. The yin sign is black. And we see the architect representing yang. The symbol is white. He's white. No coincidence there. That is obviously clear right there. So you have the oracle. You have the architect. And you got to understand the doors. What the doors are about. Neo, remember, through the matrix, these doors he's going through. The doors represent Masonic initiations, which Neo was going through in the first and second matrix, plain and simple. So when he walked through the door to get to the architect, was the 33rd degree, you might as well say. The architect is, of course, a Masonic saying. It's all about the grand architect of the universe, represented by the square and the compass. It's all Masonic. That is clear. That is easy. So in Masonic initiations, you actually walk through doors. You go through doors and you knock a certain amount of times. There's a lot of rituals and Masonic initiations and levels that deals with doors. It's just that simple. So that's another easy given that is giving away the Masonic connection. So you have in the first matrix, Neo running, going through a door, 303-33, take the hint, where he's shot and killed by Smith and he is reborn. Another major hint right there. So 33, take the hint. Everything is fitting into what we've been discussing so far is right there. So you start putting all the pieces together and everything starts to come a lot more clear. So now Neo, again, goes through the door, talks to the architect. This is symbolizing 33 degrees, 33rd degree, even though he became that when he walked through the door and got killed and was reborn. When you know about Masonic initiations and rituals, you know that happens in Freemasonry, where you lay in a casket, symbolizing death and rebirth. All that is done. So the Freemasonry symbology is right there, clear as day. So the architect basically tells him what I'm telling you. Tells him about him being the sixth version. Now, in the 33rd degree, as I discussed, you learn about the stairway to heaven, Jacob's ladder, what have you, the spinal column, and all this stuff. So he's telling Neo that, you are the sixth version. You need to basically go back to the source, where you'll be allowed to select 23 people, 16 female, 7 male, to basically rebuild Zion. Now, the numbers give it away. So now remember, too, as well, the oracle tells Neo that he needs to return to the source, where the path of the one ends. So he goes to see the architect. This is where the path of the one is supposed to end. The architect tells him the same thing. You have to basically pick, 23 people, 16 female, 7 male to recreate, Zion or what have you. And the numbers is what's given away in the way he says it. He says 23, 16, 7 numbers. So we're talking about reincarnation. We're talking about people being born. You got to pick people. So the numbers give it away. You have 23, you have 16 and 7, which will give you 23. So you have 23, 23, which will give you 46. What does this mean? So we know we have 23 pairs of chromosomes. So 23 pairs give you 2 pairs of chromosomes, totaling 46 chromosomes. So 23, 16, 23, you have 23. You have 16 and 7, which is another 23. Basically telling you we're talking about chromosomes. We're talking about creating people. So in dealing with reincarnation, the source can only be one thing. What is the source? Where do we come from? We come from the woman. That is the source of us, of people. The source is the woman and is given away by this numerology. So the source is clearly a woman, based on the fact that you can't get any kind of people without the woman, period. So again, the key that gives it away is the chromosomes, the numbers, the 23 and 23. Now, what's so important about these chromosomes is when you also get to the 23rd chromosome, the 23rd chromosome is unique to who? The woman. The woman has XX chromosome. Men, we have the XY chromosome. So 23, that number is symbolic. It really alludes to the woman and singles her out when you understand it's dealing with the 46 chromosomes. So boom, you have woman being the source, which is clear, understandable. You know, the source of us is the woman. And this is what we get into. So when you start digging into that thing, we know this is where it's going to lead us.